Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. The last Tuesday of January 2022, January 25th. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is my turn to talk. Welcome, Shannon. Welcome, Revolutionary Bro. Shannon is number one. And bro, you are number two. You are on time today. And yes, I am late. Welcome, Saba, and welcome, Frankie. Frankie, you're slipping. You are number four. And Bahram, welcome, welcome. Yes, Shannon, you win. All right. Let me stop this. Okay, so today, if anyone was on yesterday's show, and people who are generally on my show know my shows never go 2 hours, never. And yesterday's show, we were talking about the word bitch, and that transpired into a really good, a lot of back and forth. Everyone was respectful. But a lot of people had their own opinions, and we ended up talking about race. And I had to, cut it off before Podbean cut us off. But today's show is going to be a continuation of that show. So we were getting into race, and so I'm going to say it. I'm going to start off saying it. I hope that everyone here, for the most part, are the same people who come on, and we all, pretty much know each other, whatever. But I'm going to ask, for new people that are coming on, that to keep it respectful. If you're not, I won't say anything. I'll just bounce you out, and that's it. And when you take the mic, if you choose to take the mic, please do not interrupt. I pass the mic around. I let everyone have their say. Thank you, Class 1 Pro. So that is what we're going to do. So are race relations better today than yesterday? Are race relations, are they better today? Are people of color treated better today than 20 years ago? Are the races understanding each other, or are we in the same place as we were yesterday? So, when you look back at research and polls and what have you, and I've looked at a few, and there's always that disparity where white people tend to think race relations are better. Black people tend to think that they're not, and there's a significant difference there. And Latinos are kind of in the middle, so why is that? For me personally, I think race relations are worse. And I say that through experience, from my experiences that I've had when I was younger, to places where, where I go now. I live in a predominantly, white neighborhood, very much on the conservative side. And some of the things that have been said to me, and my husband, my son, other people that I know, is no different from things that were said to me, 10, 20, 30 years ago, even when I was in school. So I'm going by my experience. And Saba, I will post that for you. If you just give me a moment. So there's a lot of research, and polls that are out there. Every time you turn around, somebody's doing a poll on race. So I don't know if you want to, talk about your own experiences and what you think, or if you want to, look at polls, or whatever. But everybody lives their own life. Everyone, is not living the same life. Everyone is not walking in everyone else's shoes. Everyone doesn't experience the same thing that other people do. So on that note, I am going to send out some invites and welcome Shy Lady. I'm going to send out some invites and we will get this started. Okay. Let's see here. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm sending the invites out pretty much according to how people popped on. All right, and again, I just asked for that respect level. Okay, Saba, hold on, I missed you there. There we go. Okay. And the only crazy lady, you changed your photo, girl. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start with Shannon.
Hello.
Hello, Shannon. So, you want to add anything?
Well, I'm certainly hoping that they are better. They're better for me personally because I have a very good friend, and I think you know her, and she's adorable, and and she lives in Los Angeles. And can you get a thing who I'm talking about?
I'm not sure because I don't live in Los Angeles.
Well, Chino or wherever it is, in the vicinity. I'm
Okay.
certainly hoping things are, but the way it looks like today, it seems like even the government, it seems like, is trying to start a racial war. And it sickens me. It does, because I am so not racist of any kind. I have dated black men that were so beautiful, look like Shamar Moore. And I'm telling you, so
Don't get me started on Shamar Moore, please.
Oh my God, I love him. But it sickens me. But don't you feel like that they're somehow trying to pin or make some kind of civil war? And it's probably the easiest way to do it would be racially. So I actually think things are somewhat worse.
Okay, and you're saying, and you're leaning more towards blaming the government for
Yeah,
it, as
they
opposed
want
to
some kind of war, and that would be the biggest and best way to, not best way, but the easiest way for them. They want chaos, and in chaos comes order. And that's a way to really do it, is to pin races together. I mean, against each other. And I really, truly feel that that's going on right now.
Okay. All right. Bro, you want to add anything to that?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
Of course you do.
Completely. First and foremost, how dare whites be arrogant enough to say that they don't experience racism when racism was never directed at them? That's like me saying, oh my goodness, I just loathe or don't understand the wealthy and have never been a part of the wealth. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, whites are not at liberty to say things like, oh, I don't see racism. No, you don't, because it never came your way. Do you know the racism today has a narcissistic tint to it? One thing about narcissists is they never accept responsibility or liability for their actions. See, whites can see George Floyd get killed and say, well, I don't think That's racism. When you don't see Jews getting killed like that, you don't see Asians getting killed like that because Jews and Asians have a nation. You don't even see Mexicans getting killed like that because Mexicans have a nation that will say to America, no, y'all better not do that. We got friends and we can take you to war. See, American blacks don't associate with a land of their own that will come over here with a group of friends like a Russia, like a China, and confront the hell out of America.
Okay,
White people are
bro.
not. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
no. I mean, you're speaking, how you feel. But let me ask you this: when you say that white people don't experience racism, and Jewish people don't, what about the Holocaust? You don't think that Jewish
All right,
people experience a level of racism for the
let me say
Holocaust?
this. Let me say this. If Jews say anti-Semite, they can shut down whole world just by using. If what's her name? The lady that had the show with the comedian lady, Roseanne Barr.
Okay.
Roseanne Barr. They shut Roseanne Barr down. They shut the white comedian from Seinfeld. They shut him. Anybody that opened their mouth, Jews are in a position to shut them down. Blacks don't shut people down for that racism. We accept it. We don't even challenge it. We act like a bunch of cripples that are handicapped with the parking signs with the people on wheelchairs on them. It's pitiful how blacks deal with racism. And that's why whites can say, like Shannon said, oh, well, I don't see it. Yeah, you don't see it because it's not directed at you. Sorry.
No, I didn't say I didn't see it. I said the exact opposite. I said
No,
I
you
see
see
them
it.
trying to pin each other against each
Yeah,
other just because they want some kind of
because you
war
will see it
against
as
each
an
other.
individual. It's not a
Oh, honey, I've
them.
had racism
It's
towards
not a
me just because
them.
I'm white. You don't know that? How you don't know that, babe?
All right, let me say this. You might have experienced the reaction of racism, but you don't go in places and people are looking at you like, what you doing in here?
The hell of I
That don't
haven't.
happen to you. Please.
Okay,
Not
okay, wait,
maybe
hold
not
on,
like
wait, hold
you
on, wait,
have.
hold on, wait,
No.
hold on, wait, hold on, hold
I
on,
live in New Orleans, baby.
hold
You
on,
forget where I live.
hold on. First of all, I think I just accidentally bumped a lot of people out. So if you guys can come back in, I'll send you those invites again. I apologize. Okay, so bro, I understand what you're saying. I get it. Wait, hold on for a second because I really screwed some things up here. Shy Lady, Shannon, Bahram, could you guys please, and Saba, could you guys please go out and come back in? I totally screwed something up. So if you guys can go out and come back in, Shy Lady, if you can do the same, I would appreciate it. Okay. And Frankie, you'll probably have to go out and come back in. There we go. Okay. So I, bro, I understand what you're saying, but I also understand what Shannon is saying. However, I will say that I truly believe that white people do not experience racism on the same level as people of color. And I think it is because, like
Because of history.
what bro said, when we walk into a room, I'm black. If you walk into a room, they don't know if you're gay, they don't know if you're an axe murderer, they don't know, if you just beat your child, whatever. But for me, the first thing that you see is that you are black, that I am black. And when white people say that I don't see race, well, you do, because if you don't, then you don't see me. How can you not see me?
If you don't, you're blind. And not seeing color is a euphemism. It's not a truth.
And
It's a
right,
euphemism.
right. So, Shannon, I'm going to let you respond to that, and then I'm going to go to Bahram.
Now, granted, yes, I do think people of color have definitely had more racism towards them, just because a lot of white people, especially in the South, are not enlightened or evolved human beings. It's more done out of fear, and it's stupid. And I'm the least racist white person you'll ever meet in your life, and I've lived in New Orleans half my life. What you walk to the store, and if there's a neighborhood, believe me, I have felt like such an outcast for it. So please don't ever say that I have not been, because you don't know.
Can I say something really quick? Can I say
Wait, bro. Let Shannon finish.
90% predominantly Black. But I've had a lot of Black friends who are, who don't involve themselves in that type of behavior. But some of the neighborhood people who don't know me, believe me, I've been attacked. So just because I was a white girl walking through a Black neighborhood, I mean, they were mainly like much younger, but please don't ever say just because I'm white that I've never experienced racism, bro. If that was the case, you and I would not be friends. And Solid is like one of my best friends. So please don't ever say that again. Thank you.
Bro, I'll let you rebuttal, and then I'm going to move on to Bahram.
Yes. Let me say this. Do you know how white people hide the fact that racism exists? They look at racism from an individual perspective. And they say, oh, I'm not racist. I have plenty of friends that are Black, right? Now, understand this. Racism is not an individual dynamic. It is a group dynamic. It takes whole groups to stop people from getting into certain housing units. It takes whole groups of people to stop Blacks from getting into certain schools, to getting jobs at certain venues, to shutting down Black life as a whole. It took groups of whites to stop Black economic progress by introducing integration. Segregation give everybody a better life than integration. Jews were never asked to integrate. Italians were never asked to integrate, nor Germans, nor anybody else. This is why, to this day, you still see little Italy, little Israel. You see those types of cities from town to town. The reason why they asked us to integrate was to usurp all of the wealth out of the Black community. We need to stop tripping, and we need to stop pretending. We are too damn old to be pretending. Let the kids have Barney, not the adults.
Okay. Bahram, coming over to you.
Hi. I'm with Shannon on her first point about the government are a big part of this, and it's all divide and conquer. I also believe that it's more an older generation thing. I'm obviously not old enough to know, and I've only really been looking into this kind of stuff for the last 5-6 years, politics and things. So, and again, I am white, and I have had no experience of it. So yes, that old saying about white people have no say because they won't have experienced it. To a degree, I agree, because yes, we haven't. But then again, the whole, like, when you look at the world today, I think the biggest enemy of the world today is the white man, white supremacy. Every time there's a shooting or a bombing or something, it's white supremacist this, white supremacist that, and all these white men that run the world, and there's a real hatred towards white people. So maybe it's just that I'm not looking for it, and I think that's what I would say. And please don't take this the wrong way, but I would probably need, again, I say this a lot on this show, but I need examples, because walking into a room and feeling that all eyes are on you and it's because of your skin color. I'm not saying I don't buy it because that would be rude of me, but I do wonder if it's a victim culture that's being pushed on you guys by the media and by the government, because I know it doesn't only just happen with race, it happens with everything. It's a tactic that they use to create victim culture. And I don't know. I don't know what you guys think of what I've said already. I'll pass it over.
Okay, Byram, I did not take offense to what you said. I don't think that. In fact, I'm not even going to say I don't think. I know it's not a victim culture. You know, I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and she said to me, "It's exhausting being Black." And I've said that before. I've said that to other people. It is exhausting. Some of the things that we deal with, when you say that you want an example, just the fact of you walk into a store and someone is automatically following you. Now, some people can say, well, why is that? Because, most of the crimes that happen are from Black people. Well, okay, if that's what you want to think. But the fact still stands is, you're not being targeted or looked at in a way that as soon as you walk in someplace that someone's watching you. I am very aware everywhere I go. I'm very aware that I'm usually the only Black person. Because people will look at me or they'll, give me that look, and we know what that look is. And Bahram, if it's something, and I've said this before, if you've never experienced racism on the level that African Americans have, and I'm saying African Americans first because I think that we experience it more than any other race, you wouldn't understand it. And I think a lot of white people don't understand it. I think a lot of white people either they don't understand it because they really don't understand it, but I think there's a lot of ignorance. I think there's a lot of ignorance where they assume that things are better because they want to believe that. And Petty Deb said something in the chat where she said white people do not have to have an act created so they can wear their natural hairstyles. Here in California, our Governor Newsom, which I know some people don't like, he had to do the Crown Act so that, people of color, mainly Black people, could go to school or whatever and not have them sent home or having a teacher want to cut out their dreads or their braids or, they're wearing their hair in a, in a fade. Black people, we are blessed, and I say blessed with the fact that we can wear our hair in so many different ways. But now we have to have a law in order for us to do that. I think that's sad. So in terms of the government, I can buy into that some, but I also think that it's individuals. And I think people say things that are stupid. I think people say things, that are ignorant, and they don't even realize that they're saying it because they don't experience it. So, Bahram, I'm gonna throw it back to you. Do you want to, give me a rebuttal or disagree with me?
No. I mean, your examples, I've heard them before. Like my wife being from California and her parents and grandparents being Mexican, like they've felt it as well. And I know some of my wife's friends have commented saying that they've felt it in shops where they've been followed and things. Which that's the part I'm like, I can't get my head around. And I'm not, obviously, I believe you and I believe my wife's family and friends, but to me, it's so draconian, like not even draconian, that's the wrong word, but like it's just crazy to me that people would follow people around the store because of their skin color. To me, I'm thinking of like we call them Neds here in the UK, like teenagers that are up to no good, up to mischief. They would maybe be followed around a store, but certainly not, elderly people or like respectable, presentable people. That's just crazy to me. So I mean, it's shocking, and I'm with you. I'm dead against any racism of any type. But the only thing that was on my mind to say next would be, yes, these behaviors are terrible, and you guys should rise above it and not get down on it. I know it's maybe easy for me to say. What I'm trying to say is that these people who are committing the racism, being, following people around the shop, that's on them. They're the evil of the world, and they'll have their day. But I what about things like that shocked me about the school having, Governor Newsom doing that law. That's the first I've heard of any law, and that's what I was getting to. Is there any laws or things that Black people of color are hindered in any way that whites aren't? Because for me, that was always my main focus when I was looking into this stuff. If there's any states or any countries in the world that favor in law whites over Blacks, because I know for a fact that white people are the only ones that you can legally discriminate against when going for a job. When jobs are advertised, you'll see often that they'll say no whites cannot apply, and that was something that I'd been familiar with. So to me, that's racism. And I know in the past it's probably been no Blacks, and like even when letting out an apartment, you might have saw no Jews, no Blacks, no, maybe back in the day, and that was disgusting as well. Two rights don't make a wrong, but I fully, I'm against the behavior that you guys are experiencing in your daily lives. But what about any laws or things that the government have put in place that are racist?
Well, I mean, we have, some of the, I come back to voting. We have laws that have been put out, over 400 laws, I do believe, in at least 30 states, where some of the laws have already gotten onto the books. And, people can say, well, that's, that's not racism. But, when you go places and when you see things and when you're doing things, I mean, even now, there are, I don't know if you've ever heard something called sundown towns, where, African Americans, people of color, had to be out of certain towns. They were mostly in the South, but we, had a lot that were up north, in Chicago alone. A lot of the, towns that were on the southwest side, which were mostly white, all white, for the most part, they were sundown towns, where you had to get out of town. Even if you were a maid, whatever, you had to be out of town by sundown, or else you would either seriously get a butt whipping or you could be lynched. And a lot of those laws are still on the books. They may not still actively, participate and do them, but they're still on the books. We have laws that are still on the books, where if Black people, if you go buy a house, there's still the redlining, where in the deed it'll say do not sell to, Black people are not allowed, even now, even today. So I went to look at a house about a year ago. The house was 2.25 million. And my realtor was Latino, and I didn't have a problem looking at the house, but some of the people around there, they're looking at me like, well, what is she over here for? She can't afford that house. But I had to show proof of income before I even walked through the door. So you don't know what I can and cannot afford. And I went to look at the house 3 times. So again, it's like when you go into certain neighborhoods, they just don't want you there. We know when we're not wanted. We know that. So you can throw up all kinds of stuff and how we're supposed to feel, whatever. But again, when things don't happen to you, it's a little different. So having said that, I'm going to go to Shy Lady. Shy Lady, are you on?
Hey, yeah, I'm on.
Okay.
Just to address some of the things that were said and the topic of the question, in my opinion, it hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse, actually, to me, based on my own experiences and things that I've read. I think it was Baha Man said something about when you enter a room, you don't know if that person is how do Black people know that they're being targeted or whatever. And I think he also may have said something about white men not being able to apply to certain jobs. I just want to just say a few things because there's many, many things. There's a myriad of things that I can show that has not gotten any better. But I'll just name a few things just to address the thing about white men not applying for jobs. If you go and Google the top 100 or top 500 companies in America, go look at their executive boards. See how many Black people you see on those executive boards. And from the C-suite, CEO, COO, CFO, whatever, from those people down, the EVPs, look at their levels, and then look at the seniors, VPs, and they're mostly all white men. Just Google it and take a look. They're mostly all white men. And so when you have those way at the top, trickling down to the grunt runners, then you start getting people of color because these people that are at these high executive levels, they mostly hire people that look like them. And most of the people that are on these boards now, white women are gaining foot on white men in corporate America. But if you look at those executive levels, they're 99.9% white. There may be an exception of an Indian on there, or possibly, like I said, a white woman. But for the most part, they're white, and they're controlling corporate America. And so when you might hear, oh, affirmative action, I just saw something recently that affirmative action is now being challenged in the Supreme Court. And the whole reason why you had to have affirmative action is because we couldn't get in. And from what I'm understanding, a lot of these Ivy League schools, those schools are legacy. Whoever the professors are, their kids are getting spots taken from them for kids who actually qualify based on their scores. But these Ivy League professor kids may not have the scores, but because their legacy, they're getting placed in Ivy League schools where they don't even have the scores. So a lot of this stuff is in place to give other people opportunities. It's not because, oh, she's there because she's Black or whatever. And people talk about affirmative action. A lot of us have the scores to get in, but we can't get in for whatever reason. Oh, their essay wasn't this or wasn't that. And white people can live in anywhere in America that they want, and they won't be harassed. They won't. They can live anywhere. They won't be judged about their income. And, again, like I said, it happens on a daily basis. And I was in a grocery store taking an item back, and I went to the customer service desk, and I stood about 6 feet from a white woman that was to my left, talking to the store clerk. And her phone was way down near me. And I'm still trying to avoid contact with her because of COVID. And I don't know why her phone was way near me. And she was going on and on to this customer service rep. And then after she did her rant, she looked, to the side of her, and she saw me, and she saw her phone, and she looked me dead in my eyes and grabbed her phone. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want your phone. And I have my own phone. You don't know what kind of income I have. You just looked at me and thought that I might steal your phone because I'm black. You have no idea who I am, what value I have, my income. You have no idea. And it just amazes me how, this society is in America. And another thing is that they want to say things are things better. In terms of black men, there are more black men incarcerated than they are in college. It wasn't like that 30 years ago, but that's the society we live in. And there are no black women senators. And there haven't been for years, for decades. There has never been a black woman governor. So things are not better. They're not.
Okay, Shy Lady, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because when you say, no black senators, black people in CEOs and what have you, and a lot of these top 500 places, couldn't you say the same thing in terms of there are no Latinos, there are no Asians, that there are very few, as opposed to just black?
Oh, absolutely. 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 But I want to say, in defense of black people, we have served in this country a long time. We've been in government longer. We've been at the helm of civil rights, uh, pushing and trying to get our rights. And when Latinos were not even the numbers that they are back in the days when Martin Luther King was marching, and in those days I didn't see any marching with him. I saw some whites, but I didn't see any Latinos marching with him.
Okay, but whether or not they were marching with them or not, don't you still think that that Latinos have experienced racism? Because they have.
Absolutely, absolutely, they
So
have.
I mean, I don't think
Absolutely.
you have to march with someone to prove your loyalty or anything. But don't forget what happened to Latinos, back in the 40s during the Zoot Suit riots. So they have experienced a level of racism in this country, as Asians have. But I do want to say this. Okay, Class 1 Probe says, can we recognize hypersensitivity? I know you didn't want to hear that, but I said it with respect and love. I'll leave now. Class 1 Probe, you do not have to leave. Frankie says, I'm white and I don't think things have gotten better. White people need to acknowledge. Feisty One says, this is supposedly done based on equity, which assumes that people of color are on a level playing field. We aren't. We aren't viewed as equal. Bro says they just gave Emmett Till's family a Medal of Honor, but they passed an anti-lynching bill. But did they pass an anti-lynching bill for Black people? They passed a public lynching bill. You can no longer view Black death as a spectacle. And I know that, of course, we all know that, turn of the century and during civil rights, Black people being lynched, it was a spectacle. I mean, people went out and had, picnics and what have you, while they sat around, watching somebody, being lynched. So, Shy Lady, I'm going to go to Saba now. And Saba, thank you for waiting patiently. What would you like to say?
Hi. Sorry, my head is kind of spinning on this topic. So just bear with me. Try to help me keep on track if you could. So where I have grown up, it was a predominantly Black population. And I have experienced racism directed at me for a good part of my life. And I don't understand why people tend to compare themselves to others and treat each other according to polls and consensus and things that they saw on the internet. And because when I'm like one-on-one with someone, it's like you get along, you know, and you're sharing time together. You have similar interests, blah, 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 whatever it is, and then you bring all this stuff into the mix that you guys really didn't have anything to do with, and then all of a sudden it's right back to square one. It's right back into the heated discussions or arguments, debates, whatever. And honestly, right before COVID, I honestly felt like I had a sense of an overall well-being when it came to this topic. And I was like so excited to like, you know, go out and do things in that summer, like my friends. And so I wrote down a couple of notes to keep me on track. So when I'm in a racial topic discussion with people, by the way, I've had to, you know, deal with this topic for, you know, pretty much all my life. Given, you know, my family and everything, everybody's mixed. And anyways, I always wondered to myself, like, so can I just ask you guys, like, do you think that perhaps some white people try to
When you say reassure, what do you mean? Sava, when you say reassure, what do you
sorry,
mean?
I got muted. So reassure. Hold on, let me finish that sentence, and then you'll understand. Okay. So if they try to reassure, like, so say, you know, somebody is feeling insecure, or they think, you know, or the topic gets brought up, right? And then but they take their reassurance as non-acknowledgement of the issue. That's just what I've witnessed a lot of. And the media and like polls and websites and opinion articles, they really do have such a great impact, especially with this topic, on people who really in their own personal life have nothing to do with what happened. And it's like,
What
I
you're
feel
saying,
like
what happened had nothing to do with what happened
in the past.
in the past.
Like,
Okay.
yes. And you know, we hear a lot of things. We've been to school, we've learned things. And then you know, privately, independently, we've learned things too. And there's contradicting things. And I feel like very confused on that. And I feel also like very confused when the information that I think to be indoctrination is brought up and the other information is not brought up. And you know, like information that was not given to us growing up, that you just really have to just go find it for yourself. And I feel like there's so much emphasis on the black versus white in particular. That is way, oh, sorry. That is way like blown out of proportion. And I feel like there's a toxicity that's been put in the midst, and it's all out of all of our control. And there's really nobody to point the finger to that we have access to. And I think that like people try to take personal responsibility, and they all have their own solutions. But so I would like to pose a couple of questions. What is the goal? What is the goal? And how do we get there? And yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay. All right. Saba, she brought up some interesting points. First of all, I want to say, just in terms of websites and what have you, and polls, I did look at polls. I did look at websites, and I did it just for a point of reference for the show to start the show off. I personally do not look at polls when it comes to race. I don't look at stats when it comes to race, because I look at my own personal experience and the people who I'm around and my friends, my family, and things that I just know are right. I don't think the media is the media playing some part in it? Some. Do I think a lot? No, because the media wasn't around, the way it is, 20 years ago. It wasn't around like this, the way it is now, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. Racism, to me, is a learned behavior. It is something that was put in place to control other people. When you have slavery, we were made to feel less than. You aren't human. When you look at farming, I mean, this is just something that I'm going to bring up, and a lot of people have probably never considered this. When you look at farming, a lot of the people from Africa who were stolen, because they were stolen from their homeland, and they were, they went to Brazil, they went to America, they went to the UK. I mean, they went all over the world. A lot of people in Africa were farmers, and they knew how to raise certain crops. They knew how to raise rice. They knew how to raise yams and what have you. And a lot of the farms in the South that were prosperous were mainly prosperous because of these Black slaves. So again, when I look at polls and what have you, yeah, okay, so I look at them, all right, whatever. But I'm not basing my facts or opinions on them. I'm basing my facts and opinions on the life that I have lived, the life that I see my family have lived. I have people in my family who were lynched. And we're talking, not so long ago. We're talking 30s and 40s. That was not that long ago. So I don't think I think there's an indoctrination going on, but I don't think it has anything to do with race so much as it does with people, with individuals who want to harm other people because of their race. And again, I say, when things don't happen to you, you tend not to pay attention to them. Do I think Black people are racist? Absolutely. I know Black people who are racist. To the point where it's like, well, damn, like serious racist. Latinos are racist. There are races in every color. but there are some people who experience it more than others. I'm going to go
Okay.
back around the room.
Oh, hold on now. Can I
Sure,
respond?
sure.
Okay, so all these things that you're describing, so I have experienced a lot of those things. And now it may not be like it was in the past when it was the other way around. I don't even know what it really was because I wasn't there. And there's so much conflicting information. And, you know, it may not be legal for anyone to beat up anybody because of their race, but it sure the hell is socially acceptable for white people to get beat up on and targeted for a reason or no reason at all. Could simply just walk in the room and it's totally acceptable for racial slurs to be yelled at them, for them to be mistreated and singled out. And so I don't know, I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for me. And so someone in the chat said they wanted acknowledgement of what happened in the past. Yes.
So Saba, you don't think that people don't look the other way when Latinos or Asians or people of color are beat up or shot? I mean, when you look at it, look at how many things that, you know, that if it weren't for video in terms of African Americans, people would have said, "Oh, you guys are just, oh, come on, you guys are, everything's about race."
Who says that?
A lot of people have.
Say that everything's about race.
Yeah, that
Okay. Given my experience, everything was about race.
But don't you think? But okay, we live, and everyone else. I promise. I'm going to pass the mic. But Saba, don't you think that we live in a country that was built on racial division? When you have a group of people who have taken another group of people and have made them slaves, that right there is racism. And when they
why aren't the Jews in the spotlight?
I think that
they made up the majority of the slave trade. And I've learned also that Native Americans owned slaves.
Yes.
Black slaves.
Yes. Black people or Africans or whatever.
I also picked up, you know, in my researches and talking to people, that it was the white people who put a step forward into abolishing slavery.
Well, in terms of white people putting a step forward to abolish it, well, doesn't that make sense considering the fact that the people who were slaves, they didn't have any power to do anything? So in terms of, you know, white people putting their foot forward, yes, but the fact still stands is we live in a country where, in my opinion, racism is just built into the DNA just because of how the history of this country was. So,
or how this history of this country was told.
Well, okay. You're saying how it was told. So are you saying that slavery didn't happen?
No.
Okay.
No. What I'm saying is there's so much emphasis, blacks against whites. We don't hear nothing about the Jews or about the Native Americans.
Well, when it comes to Native Americans, if anybody knows me, you hear it from me about the American people. And for me, if anybody has been screwed more than anybody, it is the Native American people. Just in terms of what Columbus did, and he wasn't even an American. What he did to the Native American people, whatever. But
do you know why I look into this stuff? Do you know why I read and read and read and read? Do you know why?
Go ahead.
Because I want there to be peace so badly for myself and for others.
But Saba, the only way
and
people
I
are
care.
Going to,
I have empathy.
But the only way that's going to happen is everyone is going to have, and when I say everyone, I'm talking about everyone, no matter what color you are. The past, in my opinion, dictates the present and the future. If people cannot acknowledge and understand, and I say understand, what happened in the past, how are we going to move forward? And we can't, and we have to.
How do you suggest we do that?
I mean, Saba, at this point, it's like, I don't know. Because right now everything is just so messed up, not just in America, but across the globe. I don't know. So, so we can say, we want peace, and, stop talking about this, and don't teach this, and don't do that, whatever. But you have that group of people who are not doing it, but then you'll still have that group of people who will. I don't know. We are humans.
How about this? Is it satisfying to Black people to see racism against white people being implemented today?
No. But at the same time, is it satisfying to white people to see the continued racism against Black people today?
Hell no. I can't speak for other people, but I can speak for myself.
Right. And this is what I'm saying. The fact that we are just in a state of just flux, where literally, and that's why I say God, whether you believe in God, whatever person you believe God is, whatever, needs to come down, wipe us all out, start over, put the animals at the top and put us at the bottom, because humans as a group, as all of us, as a collective group, we've just messed everything up. We have fucked over what was given to us.
And a lot of that was not our fault, though. A lot of it was these conglomerates, the ones who actually owned slaves.
Right.
And are hiding behind white veils.
Okay, but again, that has been passed down for generation. So again, it's like what do you do? But Saba, hold on, because
we could be getting along 1 second, and then the topic gets brought up, and all of a sudden everything goes to shit.
Well, Saba, no. What I was going to say was that I wanted to give other people a chance to weigh in on what we were talking about. That's what I was going to say. So. And on that note, again, we're talking about the topic, whatever, and I just want to be able to let everyone else talk. So I'm going to go back to Bro. You know what the topic is. Do you want to respond to Shannon or anything else? And welcome Chill Will, Juju, and Ann Perkins, and Crucible Man. Your formal welcome. Okay, Bro.
Yes, I want in. You know what I think it is? We don't explain racism effectively. We just talk about it. We don't speak from a historical perspective. We don't speak from a legal perspective, which it is a part of the system. Do you know that most of racism in America is legislated? They had the Black Codes, the Jim Crow laws. They had laws in effect where you could legally stop Blacks from getting jobs, getting housing, going into movie theaters, drinking from water fountains. Whites act like none of that existed. But see, when you talk about racism and you're Black, You're not talking about just every white. Some whites live right next door to me. They're not the problematic whites to me. The problematic whites are those who are in a position to be able to affect change. Do you know we can talk to Salva all day? Salva's not in a position to legislate or pass bills, or she's not in a position. We're talking about those whites that have benefited from racism. Families that go all. Did you know? You ever heard of Abercrombie and Finch? Have you ever heard of them? The clothing people, Abercrombie and Finch. Do
Yes,
you know
yes.
that Abercrombie is the great 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 grandfather of the Abercrombie clothing outlet, and he was the pastor at George Washington Church? Why is it the same names come all the way down to this point in history? Because they have a financial legacy that go all the way back 500 years to the point of slavery. So whites cannot act like white wealth and white position in America is not predicated on the racism. And that's why it need to continue. It don't care about which whites like blacks. Racism don't care about that. It has to continue to keep a certain group of whites on top. Because remember, every white is not on top. So it's not all white people's fault. I don't blame all white people, but I blame those that are in a position that can affect change and won't. Thank you.
Okay, before we go on, I've been reading the comments, and there's something going on between Petty Deb and Shannon. I think just from reading, hold on, Shannon, from reading the comments, I think both of you guys are kind of pissing each other off from reading this. Each of you have your very strong opinions. So.
See, I've been tortured like a slave.
Wait, hold on.
She has no right.
Shannon, stop. Hold on. Okay, so Shannon, I'm going to give you the mic next. And if you want to respond to what, Deb is saying, you can respond. I'm going to ask you to keep it on if you cannot keep it on a respectful level, just keep it on a level where it just does not get out of hand. My show is intended, no matter what topic we're talking about, whether we're talking about toilet paper or whether we're talking about something like this, I want everyone to be able to have their say. I understand that we're talking about a topic where people are not going to agree, but I do want everyone to be able to weigh in. And again, I've been reading the comments, and you and Deb you all just do not agree. So Shannon, you have the mic. Shannon? Did Shannon leave? Okay, I do believe Shannon left. Yep, Shannon left. I will go to Bahram. Bahram, you have the mic.
So this is what I've been looking into and seeing for the past few years, and bear with me. And for argument's sake, let's assume that I'm right on this topic, or whatever you want to call it. But I just want to see what you guys think on this. But I believe in a thing called the Kalergi Plan, which is a plan to rid the world of white European people. And the way that they're doing that is with the melting pot, putting all these forced immigration, which we can argue, well, I don't think we would argue, but I mean, we're bombing these countries, Afghanistan, Iraq and all that, and then we're, taking them over to the UK, America and whatever. And obviously there's, mixing, which is all good, and that's not the point. But the point is, I believe in what Revolutionary Bro said is it's the government. They're using our race against us. It's their biggest tool, and it's all about division. And what you're seeing throughout your day, and you might notice it, you might not, but even little things like here in the UK, there's I think it's is it the Costa, the coffee shop? They used to have little white children playing snowball, building snowmen. Now they've been changed to all black. It's a black dad, black woman, black kid. There's little things like that happening all the time. It started maybe around about the George Floyd time where they were removing these statues, right or wrongly. I have no opinion. But what I believe is happening is that they are removing the history of white people and giving the blacks more of a, and you could argue, yeah, we deserve that, and you could say that's fine. But I believe it's a plan that's been in place for years, decades, maybe even centuries, and that it's happening in front of our eyes just now. So what I want to know is, even like in adverts, I have friends. I'm obviously a conspiracy theorist. I look into like the Titanic, 9/11, all these conspiracy theories, but I'm more into looking at the news daily because there's things happening every day that you maybe don't see because you maybe just watch an hour of the news at night when you get home from work. But every day there's hundreds and probably thousands of stories that don't make it to the TV, and they're on websites, and I read a lot into these, and they're basically telling you, like Joe Biden, he was quoted saying that soon America will be more what was what you might have not said black, I don't know, but you said mixed race, which is a good thing. So they are telling you what is taking place. But what I want to ask is, like, do you guys agree with this? The eradication of white people and replacing all that, because I don't think two wrongs make a right. I think it's an atrocity what happened to black people, and I think I agree with Kava. Black people held black slaves, white people held white slaves. I don't see that as a racial thing, albeit it was a very disgusting thing, and it was obviously a lot of black people as well. So yeah, I'm dead against it. But I see what's happening now, and I see quotes, books written in the past from people like I'm sure you've heard of George Soros, but there are people like him that hide in the background of government, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, that make the odd appearance on a TV program or write a book or an article, and they openly talk about, it's time to start using the race against these people, and divide is our biggest tool. And I just would like everyone to wake up to it, because like Kava said as well, when we're out and, if I, like I've said to you before, Solid Blue, if me and you went out and if I met you in a bar or somewhere, we'd get along. I don't think most people don't see skin color, especially the younger generation, as a thing. I think it's an older thing, like probably the generation that's dying off just now, like maybe even like the homosexual thing. I think a lot of people were uneasy with that, but they are the older generation that are dying off, and people are more, open to things now. But yeah, just back to what I was saying, do you agree? Do you see this happening first and foremost in, film? The new James Bond, Idris Elba. I called it a long time ago when the candidates were up. Doctor Who changed from a man to a woman. Now, I'm not saying these things are wrong. I definitely am not saying that. But I believe these things are forced and they're pushed in that direction by the powers that be, for whatever plan and things that they have. So I just want to know if you agree with that and if you see it yourselves.
Okay. Well, for me personally, there are some things that I do see. I think that people, people, when you say, James Bond and what have you, I mean, we're getting to the point where people are going on TV talking about M&Ms and how M&Ms are not, that why is this and why is that? I mean, seriously. And they, get so red when they're talking about it. I mean, it's or Mr. Potato Head, whatever. But in terms of white people, I'm probably one of the few Black people who believe that the statues should remain. I don't think that they should have been taken down. I understand that a lot of the statues that are up are people, who, own slaves, or, they, may have done something, that was not right. But instead of taking them down, to me, it's like when you take them down, you're taking down a part of history, and the part that you want to tell is being now stuck in some warehouse because you took down a part that should have remained, and add to that plaque, add to that plaque, add to the story that is part of that person. So no, I don't think that statue should be taken down, or or uh uh defaced, or what have you. At the same time, I don't think that Black statues should be defaced, or Latino statues, or Native American, whatever. But I understand what you are saying, Bahram, and I actually think that if we got together in a bar, it would be a very long night, because I think we would have a wonderful time. So and then I want to bring up something that Bro said. He says, when whites use and abuse people, is commonplace, but if whites experience anything abnormal, it's about the destruction of the white race who benefit from slavery. Saba says, Bro, you seem different. I don't seem different, I'm being honest. Deb says rich people benefit from slavery. Shy Ladies wanted to say something if time permits. Yes, Shy Lady, I'm going to actually pass the mic to Saba next, and then Shy Lady, I'll come back to you. And there are a lot of comments, a lot of it from Petty Deb about Jewish people, and I know that Saba, wanted to say more things about Jewish people. And their role in slavery, or Saba, whatever you want to say. So you have the mic.
Honestly, I don't really want to talk about this anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your input. Shannon is gone. Shy Lady, I will go to you. And what did you want to say? And then I'll go to Will.
I'll just real quickly, I know there was a comment that Blacks own slaves, white own white slaves. But to me, the bottom line is the majority of white slave owners benefited from the richness of slavery. And this was hundreds of years of slaves making them rich. One example is Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels, as some people might know, had a slave who taught him how to make whiskey. Now, this family, from what I've read, has a descendant of the slave who taught him how to make whiskey working at one of his plants. This family did not benefit from any of Jack Daniels' richness, wealth. So there's plenty of white families that have benefited from slavery hundreds of years ago, and these same families are still in existence, and they're controlling America. And for the most part, they're probably controlling the world. America is still, some may argue China, but America is still one of the richest countries in the world. And he who controls the land makes the rules. And so that is the reason why there's still a lot of racism, because the benefactors of slavery are still in existence, and their descendants are still in existence as well. I just wanted to say that that's my piece.
Okay. Chill Will? Chill, you there?
I am. I figure out how to.
Oh, there you go.
I was
Okay.
just trying to figure out how to mute the TV right quick.
Okay.
Felt like I'm 80. but no. So this is always a touchy, passionate subject, and
Mhm.
I love passionate subjects, but sometimes we have to calm down and remind ourselves that typically our everyday neighbor isn't our enemy, right? And so, one thing Revolutionary has a point on is that uh, a lot of times we get the same enemy. It is definitely a class issue for the most part in today's society, and whether you're, I mean, white, black, if you're in a certain class and you benefit from a certain law or legislation, whether you're black, white, or indifferent, it just happen to be white because that's how it started off. I mean, you're gonna take advantage of your position, and you're gonna hire people that you're familiar with. You're gonna do all those things are gonna be in place, and it's up to us sometimes as minorities to make another group of people realize that because they may like the everyday person. They're like, I got nothing to do with y'all. I work hard from the top. I got kids. I want, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the danger of kind of blaming it on when you use it like, hey, white people this, white people that. That's dangerous because it's like I ain't do shit to you. I got black family. Shit, I'm married a black man, and that's where it comes. Those crazy people, black people don't like that. They hate it. I got black. I got black best friend. I got and they take it the wrong way. Although people they just trying to defend themselves, like, hey, I don't have no racist bone in my body. So that is always a touchy subject, and we got to kind of remind ourselves that we're not each other's enemy, and that typically, in the grand scheme of things, I think it is the legislation, which is in that person. That's the hard part because when you say white people or the man, it's not a person. It's an entity put in place that a lot of people don't even take the time to understand if you're not a minority. We have a hyper understanding of how things work because we're the abused, we're the oppressed. And so typically we see the ins and outs of how things work. Other people don't study this. They don't read about this. They don't even know the history of it. They're taking out the history books, matter of fact. And so they don't know how the real history. And like the benefactor does write the history. And so from their standpoint, the schools they're going to, they're telling them a different story. And we sound like we're crazy, deranged, or like maybe, what I'm saying, uh, left or rightist or whatever have you, whatever, you know, just out like right crazy people sometimes. And we could be telling the truth. And that's the problem. It's just the miseducation of it. And the lack of empathy and understanding for each other is which has to be always paramount first. I mean, it means to think this one person is just that hateful. Typically, that you don't come out the womb like that. To get that way, it has to be a lot to happen. You know what I'm saying? For you just to like, hey, just because this person black, I hate you. You know what I'm saying? Or white. That takes a lot of energy. So I mean, there's people out there like that, but I'm thinking majority. Nah, so it's just a lack of understanding, and I think that's where it needs to be at first, and so it won't be so taken. So it's hard to hear, especially if you feel like you're the benefactor, and no one wants to be put under like, hey, you know what I'm saying? My whole race of whatever, was the cause of this, and they like it wasn't me. So it's a way that we had to figure out to communicate so no one won't get offended, even though they may feel some type of angst because this still needs to be a conversation that needs to be had because there's things in place that happen and things that you may benefit that you don't even realize. But we have to be open to that, and we have to understand all of that. Because if we don't, we're just gonna do ourselves a disservice on both sides. You know what I mean? We gotta understand that people gonna get defensive. As a black man, I know if I'm explaining some crazy stuff to a white person that may not be hip, and they're like, "That's crazy," they might get defensive. They may think I'm trying to attack them. I gotta understand that about a person, but I gotta kind of still say my piece and let them get over what they got to get over and still have those conversations. Sometimes you got to step away like Shannon did, but hopefully she could be woman enough and understanding enough to come back one day and just kind of hash things out after she thought about it. And that's how we start. That's how we start at least. And to succeed takes a couple more steps, but it's really a class thing for me. Period. Like, and we're fighting it. And when we say these things, it's not against. It's really against an entity that's put in place for hundreds of years, and we're making it seem like it's one person. It's a Donald Trump, or it's I don't know, whoever. It's what's his name? It's what's the guy? Elon Musk. It's like it's not just one person. It's a whole entity. This was written a long time ago.
All right. So, Sheila, you said a mouthful there. I want to ask you something that Sava said earlier. So, how do we fix it?
Well, like I said, one step is to have the open mind to actually have a conversation. You got
But if
shit
people,
gonna
but
hurt.
if you have people who don't want to have the conversation, you have people who, they just don't want to hear it. And I'm not talking about, white people. I'm talking about black people. Like, I'm talking about whoever. If someone doesn't want to hear it, what do you do? Because I'm to the point where I don't think that it can ever be fixed. So what
And
do
that's
you
very
Mm.
do?
well. I'm not saying that it could never. It's a long road. It wasn't put in place in one day, so it's not going to unravel in one day, right? So if it's 100 years of slavery, oppression, and that psychology has embedded itself, you think it's like what we're so crazy to think that in one generation, our lifetime, it's going to make it better because in one day we didn't have the right conversation with somebody that doesn't want to hear it. That's not how it works. We have to make sure we do our place in time and history to reverse that if we can. Sometimes things get worse, sometimes things get better, but people have given their lives for this. So what makes you think that in one fell swoop, in one conversation, that we're going to erase racism? That's never going to happen. You just got to stay steady, be in your stance, and do your part, and teach and practice what you preach. And so therefore over time things will evolve, which they have. It's slow, but they have. And sometimes we take a step back, but that's the process. It's just a total process, and it takes hundreds of years to put it in place. It may take double that to take it out of place, or and then something else will arrive. So that's just how life works. But you shouldn't just give up. You never should lay the hammer down. I feel like that's the biggest thing in life. You never should lay the hammer down. I don't care how old you are, don't give up. You just and stick to being you and doing you, no matter how many people don't like it. No, just keep doing you. Because it can weigh on you. You be like, out of hell with people. It make you bitter. But I'm a firm believer is to try to have empathy and understand the whole process. You got to look at it from a holistic approach and then try to, from a macro approach, then approach it on a micro level, understanding that, hey, it takes a lifetime. It takes several lifetimes. So you just do your part.
And I'm going to give you a hand clap for that one. That was well said. Sava says, and I'm reading up because I've a lot of comments going on, a lot of back and forth. In my neighborhood, it's commonplace to white bash. Bro says whites are used to saying I'm not racist. That moves the conversation further, but that is superficial brand of conversation. I'm going to go to Bro. I think Sava has asked you a couple of questions. What do you mean by a couple of things? I don't know if you want to address that, or you have the mic.
Let me just say this. I think what has happened is there are whites who are in power, and they took the 80%, the 20% of whites took the 80% of whites and used them as a buffer against any black that would dare stand up and mention racism. Because I honestly don't understand how a poor white person living in a tent in California, because and I'm only using California because the homeless population is so large, how a homeless person in a tent in California will get up and get angry if racism is mentioned, as if they're in a position to be racist. That is pitiful. But what has happened is poor whites have been miseducated and undereducated. And the whites that are in power don't want them to come across any information that would start being an indicator to what racism really actually is. This is why every program that come about from the 1619 Project to critical race theory or any other theory, they don't want white people to come across it. Don't teach it in our schools. Don't teach it to our kids. And they're scared that their children might hear a truth. And you know what they say about truth, that if you hear a truth might just set you free. They might be set free, the poor whites, from the hypnotical trance of the wealthy white. So, all I'm saying is, in order to effectively have this conversation, we have to all get educated. Our opinion about this conversation cannot move it forward. And that's why you see everybody arguing and bickering, because it's too many opinions floating around and not enough damn facts. Thank you.
All right. But Bahram, you have the mic.
I know. Right. So, see, people with my political view, I know I'm probably the I wouldn't go as far as saying I'm the enemy, but I am. I lean right, and people on my side of the political spectrum are, seen as, I don't know, I wouldn't say racist, but like we've got kind of out there views, and where I think that a lot of the political commentators go wrong, and the only one I actually see going that extra step and actually coming out with like a way of fixing it is Candace Owens. I don't know how you feel about her, but she is a black woman, and whenever I've listened to her, she goes that extra step and says that there is a problem in the black community, and it's we need to fix it with funding in schools and neighborhoods and the whole family dynamic with the single mothers and all that, and to me that's being productive. But I agree in all that stuff, so like I think that's a mark in my favor, where I do see that the black population are being oppressed in those places like Baltimore. The funding is being cut, and these kids are left running around with no prospects, and that's why that the crime and whatever that comes with it. So hopefully you guys hearing me say that lands in my favor for what I'm about to say, because what I'm about to say is if I give this advice to anyone in the world, 99% of the time it would be received well. It would be, oh, thanks for that piece of advice. But when it comes to this topic and you give this piece of advice, it can be very triggering. And I hope that no one takes it that way, because I just want, I think it's important. But I think of that meme that I saw, and I shared it on my Instagram round about the George Floyd time, where there's a courtroom, there is a criminal who is black, the police officer that stood by him is black, and the judge is black. The two mindsets of the policeman and the judge were, obviously way better than the criminal. And to me, that is what I don't want. This victim culture is that these people that are following you around a shop or giving you these bad looks rise above it. And I know you might all be sitting there maybe getting angry and saying, oh, it's easy for you to say, but the Barack Obama was a president. You guys can do anything you want to do if you really truly believe it. And if you're gonna teach your kids, which I have seen, I saw a disgusting video of a black mom lining her 4 black sons up against a wall, and they had to recite white man bad, and it was probably it was obviously put out there to trigger a lot of people. But to teach your kids that you're a victim from day one is very damaging. And I think we need to get out of this on not only on the race thing, but there's other topics that are pretty similar that people are being oppressed in. And it's all, I can't oppress you. I have no power to. And like Revolutionary Bro said, it's people in power that benefit from all this, that are wealthy, and Shy Lady mentioned it as well. They're the ones that can change all this, not me, not you. I don't have a bad bone in my body. I'm not racist at all. And I think the new culture coming, the new age groups coming through are definitely not. They can't be because of what is in culture. So I think I'll leave it at that. Hopefully that's been received well. I hope so.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to respond to what you said, Bahram. Um, I do know that, Black people, they do teach their children certain things. I know that I tell my son, to be wary of certain things, to, not hang out with a certain crowd, and I do that just out of survival. But at the same time, when you see, you know, white people are also teaching their children, in terms of, Black people are bad, whatever, and Latinos do the same thing, and Asians do the same thing. I mean, every race is teaching, their children something, so, when you look at, um, everything that is going on, I mean, there's just so much going on in the world today. And it comes back to Saba's question, how do you fix it? Now, Bara and I are on opposite sides of the political spectrum, but we have this friendly banter that goes back and forth on Twitter. So if anyone has ever seen it, we have this friendly banter that goes back and forth. Is usually over the vaccine. And Bahram, I truly mean it when I say you are someone that I want to meet. And we, message each other, and he is truly someone that I would want to meet. Now, I'm also looking at some of these comments that are going on between Petty Deb and Saba. I want to bring up a couple other things. I've had the opportunity to talk to Saba one on one, and I like her. I like Saba a lot, and we may disagree. We may be at opposite ends of various things, whatever, but I like her. She has her opinions, and she goes into detail why she feels a certain way, whatever. But I also respect those opinions. And for everyone who is on my panel, I want you to know, some of you I've known for years personally. Some of you I know just through Podbean and from other shows. But I respect every single person's opinion and voice. And I hope that other people do as well, because we're all not going to agree with each other. There are some people I've had heated arguments with, whatever, and they were arguments. And other people, I didn't have an argument. I had a discussion, but I truly do respect what everyone is saying. And and as I'm looking at the things that are going on in the chat, I really hope that you guys respect what other people, are also saying, because we're all not going to love each other. We're all not going to necessarily, even if we met, we may not even like each other, but we can at least respect each other. And for this show, I knew it was going to be tense, whatever, but I'm glad that we're not like some shows where people are yelling and screaming at each other, and everyone's just talking over each other, whatever. So having said that, I'm going to pass the mic to Shy Lady. Shy Lady, you have the mic.
Oh, I just want to say, good point. And I don't like to argue with people because people have opinions. How can you argue with someone's opinion? You may not agree, but there is no need to probably have that argument, with someone based on what they believe. I think it's a good topic. I don't think things will ever change. I believe that it's going to take God to come back and just destroy the whole earth, because there's been evil and good from the beginning of the time. From the beginning of the Bible days, there's been good and evil. We're never going to get rid of evil. It's going to always be here. And so if there's evil, there's going to be all kinds of people with different beliefs and different systems to oppress others. So it's never going to go away, in my opinion. But what we can do is respect each other and try to get along. I just feel that in America, it's such a, blacks are only the 13% of the population. I can't speak for what Latinos and other ethnic groups are because I haven't really done a lot of research or anything like that on things concerning people that are of those origins in America. But I do see that there's lots of inequality in America. I see that certain people have benefited from the effects of slavery from generations to generations, hundreds of years. Like I said, you can look at any corporation in America, top 100, and you'll see white people at the helm. And that's not to say that this is a race thing. I'm saying that there's no fair treatment of people that are qualified to fill some of those positions on those executive boards because they won't let them in. They want their friends in, or they want somebody that look like them. They feel more comfortable, and that's not fair. That's not fair. So that's my thing about what's going on in America, and the same thing with our governors, our senators and representatives, and even at the local levels. A lot of these positions are still controlled by white people. There are plenty of Latinos in America now, and a lot of them are not in positions where they can also have a voice for that particular state that they live in. And it's just not being played in a fair way across the board to me. And that's just not from a Black perspective. You can look at the states and see there's only one Hispanic governor, and that's in New Mexico. A woman is of Hispanic descent, but it's not a fair playing game. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Chill.
Yeah, I'm here. I do want to respond to Bahram because I think he's an intelligent person, and he's a person that I would definitely love to converse with myself on a myriad of topics. It sounds like, I'm always happy when people can agree to disagree or just have a civil conversation on both sides of the fence because I really don't think it's a wrong or right. It's just hey, I have a position, you have a position, and sometimes you can sway my position by enlightening me about things I don't know, right? And so for me, I would say to Bahram, that when you see videos such as he mentioned about lining your four black boys up and saying white people are bad, white people are bad, I always want you to understand the history, especially American history. I'm not quite sure how much you know about American Black history. I mean, obviously we all know slavery, but the extent to the stories to which we've endured, and we to some degree still endure, and what we feel, whether people think is in place or not, it's definitely certain things in place. Maybe, like I said, not from normal people, and we can always uh, agree or disagree as far as the operational definition of what's racism. I think that we kind of get caught up in that bag. What's racism? Black folks say, well, poor white folk can't be racist, and then it'll be a person that says, well, yes, they can, and then we have to educate them on what we call racism, and so we get in those bags, and those were the conversations that needs to happen. So when you see four white boys up against the wall saying that, it's because it's for a reason. Because I don't think that's playing a victim. That's more so saying, hey, this is me being powerful enough to overcome what we feel is there are threats out there. Typically, even though they look nice, they may not be as such. So you got to account for that, right? You don't want to be out here just being silly and then don't account for things like that. It may be a little paranoia, but hey, better safe than sorry overall. And I can't get into the reason now, but it's a reason for that. And not necessarily, it's not playing a victim though. But we do have to realize that, even though there's things out there, the entities out there that we feel are against us, we still can maintain and get to those spots. We may have to work twice as hard to get half his credit. That's the thing. That's the thing in Black communities. We got to work twice as hard to get half the credit, but you still can rise above. And that's just the thing. You got to pull up your bootstraps. Life is unfair. We already know that. So we got to do that. But I definitely think you should understand our plight. Someone know, because you might not have nobody sit down and tell you like, hey, this is why we had that thought process. What you say is victim is us being cautious, being strong. So things of that nature, they're in place for a reason, and we're like that for a reason. But yeah, I'm just gonna move on from that because it's
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to. What happened yesterday, where I was rushing people, because I don't. I like people to say what they need to say, and again, my show never goes past an hour 30. I did it yesterday, and I'm doing it today. But I knew this was a topic where people were going to want to say what they wanted to say. So I'm gonna start my trek around the room. Does anyone have any last words they would like to comment on? Bro, I'm gonna start with you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Any last words?
Yes. Do you know there's a book that exists, and I forget the name of it, but if you have a show tomorrow, I will get up and I'll state the name of it. It talks about when white people became white. White people did not become white until the 1700s. Prior to the 1700s and European conquest, people did not address people as black and white. Those terms, as far as addressing people, didn't even exist. Racism started those terms. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I
People
am.
being called black and white, racism. There was never. See, understand this. People are called a name referring to the region that they're from. Where is black land and where is white land? But you can call whites European because you have Europe. You can call blacks African because you have Africa. Do you understand? It's almost like we're just talking. We don't have any sense of mind. We don't have any facts backing up everything. Crucible Man said, we're just speaking, and that will never solve any social issue that is had in America. Just bumping your mouth and running your gums. Because the only thing your mouth for doing that capacity is stink if you did not brush your teeth. Thank you.
All right. All right. But Bahram, you have the mic.
Just a last thought is we are not I'm not your enemy, you're not mine. I think I always say my agenda on my podcast and that is to get everyone to wake up, quote unquote. It's I know it's a very broad term, but I see race as one of their tools. Like I've said, it's division, and whenever you see that video I was talking to you about, the black woman lining up her 4 kids and saying like that woman videoed that and put it on purpose to get a reaction. And I see those kind of stories happening every day. The George Floyd story, for example, I don't want to open up a can of worms, but for every George Floyd incident, you can find a white man that's had the same exact, in fact, on the same day, there was an exact same incident where a policeman, knelt on a white man's neck and he died. And the media didn't highlight that because the media are in on this. I know this might sound crazy to a lot of people, but the media and the government are, in cahoots, and they choose to gaslight stories to get reactions, to cause division, to get people arguing. Because when you're arguing with your neighbor, you're not focused on who's actually, setting these laws and statutes and whatever. So the next time you hear a story that triggers you, just think about it. Like statistically, this has happened to the other race as well. It's happened to a man. It's happened to a female. And remember that, like, I said this on one of my shows. It's like, I think in the UK from 2018 to 19, there was 30,000 deaths, let's say, but they choose one death to highlight it. And they're doing it right now where a woman was raped by a police officer, and they're using that horrible crime, terrible story, to now spend £40 million in the UK to get surveillance drones to hover in the streets. Now that's something that you would have heard, and if you've read George Orwell, 1984, Big Brother's watching you, drones in the streets. Like I said, there was 30,000 deaths that year. Why have they only chose to highlight, that one? And that's what you really have to think and get the cogs turning. Why? because there's a reason. Why did they choose to highlight George Floyd's murder, which is we can all agree it was a tragedy, should never have happened. But what about, the other X amount of deaths that happened that day? Why did they not get a chance in the media? So just for my final thought, don't let them divide us. We have more in common. That was a great point that Revolutionary Bill brought up. I didn't know that until the 1700s. Colors like white and black. That really didn't surprise me, and I can guarantee if you look into who, if it's not wiped from history, that it would have been someone in power that done that because they saw an opportunity to divide again. So that's my last say, and I hope everyone's taking it. I hope I'm not hated now by you all, because I don't want to come across like that. But I enjoy these conversations, and I value everyone's views and points, and anyone's more than welcome to come on my show. Like Chilwell said, if you want to reach out to me, I have a podcast that I pre-record. I do interviews on Skype or Zoom, and then I publish them onto BitChute. And I am thinking about starting a Podbean show, and hopefully some of you guys will help me out on that, because I'm not the best at talking on my own. I need like a back and forth. So that's coming very, very soon. I know you've been on my case, and I will. I'll hopefully have it in the next week or so.
Okay, Bahram, before you go, or before we stop, can you please put the name of your show and what platform it's on? Because I know people have been looking for your show, but we've been looking on Podbean. So can you just type in the chat the name of the show and the
it's just Bahram U Podcast, like it says on my thing, and it's I'm actually not very well liked on YouTube. I've had 2 strikes, and if you get 3, you're banned. So I now just publish them to BitChute. I don't know if anyone knows. It's a well-known site.
Can you type that in? Type that into the chat. And Bahram, you don't have to worry. I don't think, you're like OJ28. I mean, I don't think anybody can get upset with you. So, again, you are, you come across, you're very calm, whatever, you say what you have to say, and, you are welcome. And I don't think anyone has any issues with you at all. So, yeah. Okay, you're welcome. Let's see. I would have spelled this wrong. BitChute.com. Okay, so now I know where all your podcasts are. Okay, Shy Lady, do you want to have a last word? Shy Lady, you want to say something? You there? You unmuted yourself before I move on. Do you want to say anything? Okay, I'm going to go on to Chill. Do you want to say anything? I don't think Shy Lady is.
Yeah, I didn't want to. She said she hadn't any last words. She said that in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so I definitely. Byron, one thing we both agree on is that is an entity is in place that's to keep us in division. That's the easy part, right? But like I said, there's levels, there's context. You get the micro level, you get the macro level. So whether it's a division or not, it's still a plight that a whole race may have that they're undergoing, and so they want to make people aware. Whether the media uses that, we need to educate ourselves on how they do that, how they use that against us. That doesn't mean that this entity is still in place affecting the whole race. So we need. I mean, you're speaking more of on a macro level, and which is completely understood, and I agree upon. Things like blackwashing, what they would call it now, is it's polarizing. So it's anytime something makes money, anything something is polarizing, period, in the media, it's going to make money because you hate it or you love it. That's how you make money. They know that. So they're going to make James Bond black. They're going to make money off of it. They also know that the black dollar, they're exploiting it. Some people have been doing it for years, but they've tapped into it. They've seen Wakanda, black folks don't get together for nothing, but they sure went to see Wakanda, and they made billions of dollars off of it. And so they'd be remiss to say, hey, you know what? Let's not do it to James Bond. Let's not do it to Princess and the Frog. Come on, bro. That's just that's just economics. I think sometimes we hyperanalyze stuff and just overlook it. That's just pure money. That's not even a plan. That's just, hey, if I could capitalize on these billions of dollars from this one community, you know, I want to do it. So, for the most part, though, I would say that classism is definitely an issue, and also this conversation we're having is needed. Period. We can't get anywhere without this conversation, without the empathy, because how will we know how to apply the application of it? I need to understand what you mean, what I mean, and try to get it right before we apply anything in this world. Before we step out our doors or write our papers or write our blogs, we need to have that understanding so we know what the hell we talking about, right? So conversation is definitely needed, and this is what we're having now does matter. Whether we agree with each other or not, sometimes we're miseducated, and this is the process. So hopefully now you go back and you look at things differently, or maybe you can go look at Black history. Maybe I can go look at what Bahram is speaking into, but that matters as well. And statistically, for Black folks, even though it may, I don't know, police brutality may happen to everybody. Statistically, though, if it's happening to us more than it is to another race, and we're only 13% of a nation, that should be a way of, that's alarming. No matter what type of tool they're trying to use against us to create division, and so it's up to both whites, Black, Asians, whoever in general, to come together to fix something like that. And that's where I think the problem is that a lot of times you're silent. And so when we speak about white people or something like that, we're thinking you're a part of the problem, because it's like, all right, you're not speaking up.
You there, Chill, or did you get a phone call? You there? Okay, I think Chill probably got a phone call. Okay, so this show. Oh, he's coming back. All right.
Get a phone call, but I was finishing up. I was just like, the most thing I want us to realize is that just because everything happens to every culture doesn't mean it's disproportionately happening to not to Black folks. It's like I said, if the prisons are 80% Black folks and 13% of the world is, in America, if it's 13% of Black folks and 80% of the prisons, you got to remember. I mean, we're the only ones that do crime, and people are taught that. Other races are taught that Black folks are just criminals. That's asinine. That's outrageous. And so that's a fight we have to fight on a micro level. It's there. So it's not one way to fight things. You fight it from the inside out, the outside in. And we just need to be educated, talk about it, and then apply it accordingly. And that's a big thing for me.
Okay. Frankie, thank you for the super chat, and she says, "Good show, solid, tense, but a conversation which we need to have on a regular basis." Okay. This has been a topic that every time we talk about this, when I say we, I don't mean me on Podbean. I'm talking about wherever this conversation comes up. I do believe that we do need to engage and talk, because I do believe that there are people out there who don't get it. We don't get each other. Different races, we see things differently. We experience different things. So one person can say this, another person can say that, but we all experience different things. And I did want to comment to Bahram, when you say, why was George Floyd, why was it that? I don't think it was necessarily the media that did that. I think what it was with George Floyd, out of all the other murders that happened that day, it was the way George Floyd died. And it was the callousness of it. And it was the fact that it was by a police officer. I think that is why so much attention was put on George Floyd's murder. And I think, for me personally, I think rightfully so. So when that's not something that you see every day. And I think that's me personally. That's why I think that happened. I'm about to go off. Like I said, I don't like going up to the point where we're getting cut off. Does anybody have anything quickly that they want to say? Anybody?
I want to say goodbye, everybody. Good conversation, and it's awesome.
Well, thank you, and Chill, thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate the fact that you came. So thank you. 2 days in a row. Thank you, bro. Anything really quick?
Yes, real quick. I just want to say we have to stop acting as if we don't see what's in front of us, because that is the tool that they use against us. They want us to pretend it ain't there. And as long as we don't see the elephant in the room, they can keep doing what they do. Let's open up our minds. Thank you.
Okay, but Bahram?
No, just again, thanks for the show. I love the show. I wish they were longer. But no, thanks everyone for participating and having a really good chat. I've really enjoyed it, even though it's not a nice subject to talk about, but I agree it needs to be talked about. And this show is I just love it. So thanks, Solid Blue, for everything you do and thinking of your show topics and all that.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. Shy Lady, your last chance. You want to throw in something? Anything?
No, just a good show, as always. I respect everyone's opinion. Everybody's been very polite and not really rude. And it's all good.
Okay. And on that note, I just want to say to everyone who was on the panel, thank you guys, because I do believe that, again, we didn't agree on everything, but we had a respectful panel. Hopefully Shannon will come back. I'm hoping that she does. And again, everything that was going on in the chat, I know people, disagree, whatever. But in the end, as long as we agree to disagree, you may not like other people's opinions. You may think opinions have to be backed up by facts. But again, it's a person's opinion. And we can agree to disagree. And when we do that, I think we can keep it on a level where it doesn't get, nasty or confrontational. And we just respect each other's opinions. And on that note, speak your truth, go where the wind takes you. I'm Solid Blue Sister, and I hope to see you tomorrow, where the conversation is going to be a lot lighter. And on Thursday, again, that's my fun show. So we're not going to be so damn serious. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. And thank you again to Frankie and Class 1 Pro for your pod beans. I do appreciate them. And Bahram, I'm telling you, dude, I'm waiting for that live show, because I think your live show will be the bomb. I think it will be the bomb. I think you will have a really good following. And bro, you haven't had too many shows lately. What's going on with you? Bro, you there? So are you going to have any shows? You haven't had any shows lately.
No, I haven't. I've been good.
Well, you are going to have to get on it. And welcome, that guy. You're 2 hours late. Welcome. But bro, seriously, you're going to have to, you haven't had any shows, so. Okay, and Chill, you can also have a show. You have a lot of stuff to say, dude. So you can also have a show. Ever thought about it?
You ain't got no top ramen in there.
Chill, have you thought about having your own show?
I have my show every once in a while, but it's not as informed. It's not as It's the opposite of this.
What is the name of your show?
It's not it's just a random showing, like when I go, because there's so many hobby communities, so many, it's vast, so we just get on and just shoot the shit. It's not a real like show. It's just us having fun, chiming in on whatever topics we want to talk about. But you can always come in, whoever follows me. And if there's a topic to be had, we can delve into it. I kind of typically stay kind of lighthearted, unless I have to.
Okay, all right, that's good. Good to know. Good to know. Guys, I'm exhausted. Yesterday's show exhausted me. This show.
Yeah, I know. I kind of see Nina get a little upset again. I don't know. I hope she's okay. She's passionate too. I like it.
Yeah, she is.
So she don't take it the wrong way.
She is. I don't think she did. I think sometimes, we things, people say things, whatever. So, I think everything's good. So.
Yeah, it's still awesome. Sometimes you just gotta step away. I'm sure she'll be back.
All right, y'all. Have a good afternoon or evening. I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.